Hey, Michael, you said you guys were going to get creative. Obviously, JaVale with the start tonight alongside Nicola. What was your impression of how that pairing worked tonight?
Oh, I thought it was great. It's something that we've talked about trying, to be honest, ever since we got JaVale. And with 3 games to go against a pretty big team in Minnesota, we figured let's throw it out there. We can put Aaron at the 3, showcase his versatility, slide Nicole to the 4, and let JaVale just be that, defensive presence, backline defender, which he was. So Nicola gets 14 boards, JaVale gets 13. Yes, overall, I thought those guys were played off of each other very well.
Brandon Cristal.
Hey, Coach. Sorry if it's loud. I'm sitting here at the Avs game in the little hallway by Mr. K's office. I'm curious, and if you touched on this pregame, I'm sorry. Was there thought about limiting Joker's minutes at all? Or once he's out there, you just go, right? Like playing him 15, and once he's loose and ready to go? And what are the conversations like about these final 2 games? Because we know he wants to play in every game, but, sometimes you have to protect him from himself, if that's the right word.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations where, if he's going to play, he's going to play. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of concern for the potential of injuring and having Nicola get hurt. Nicola could get hurt in practice after the Portland game as we prepare for the playoffs. So he wanted to play tonight. We talked, training staff, myself, Nicola. He deserves to have a voice in that conversation. And then once we get to Detroit, we'll figure out how we're going to approach these last 2. But it's one of those situations where, he did not want to, and I agreed, hey, we're only going to play you 10 minutes tonight. Well, if that's the case, let's not play you at all. So we were able to get through the game. Obviously, Austin Rivers took a hit in the first half. I wasn't sure if he'd be able to come back. He had to leave the bench area and get checked on by their doctors, but thankfully he was okay. So no worse for the wear. Pulled out the win. Fourth quarter defense was phenomenal. And guys like Marcus Howard and Vlatko Chanchar went out and played really well for us, which was great to see.
Ryan Blackburn.
Coach, I was just going to ask you about both of those guys. It was a good sign to see both of them get shots up and do really well. What were you most impressed with their approach to the game tonight? Playing the right way. I mean, both of those guys, Vlatko had 14 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. Marcus goes out and gets 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. But the great thing about it was I don't think either one of them forced it. They played within the offense. They played within themselves. And when the ball found them, they were ready. I thought Vlatko's floor game was outstanding. He's a high IQ player. Really great job of reposting Nicola when they kicked it out. Neither Marcus nor Vlatko forced anything tonight, which a lot of guys, when they're put in a situation where they play minutes that they normally don't get, they try to do too much. So I just really respected and appreciated those guys playing within the team framework and having great nights. Those guys have worked their butts off an entire year. So the whole locker room, what I love about our team, I walk in, the whole locker room, led by Will Barton, is excited that Vlatko had the on-court interview after the game, the podium game, and both guys had career highs. So that's always fun to see when teammates are supporting one another.
Joel Rush.
Hey, Coach. Kind of circling back to JaVale and Jokic playing together. I think they combined for 11 offensive rebounds tonight, and you guys doubled them in the paint. Just, of course, with all your guards depleted on your roster right now, is that one thing you might be able to go to just in terms of one scoring option, just kind of dominating the offensive glass like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go to a lot of different options. As we approach the playoffs, with now 2 games to go, we can try some more different things. Obviously, the playoffs are all about matchups. Is it a big team? Is it a small team? But at least we know now, and I knew they'd be able to play together. I didn't expect them to have the night they had the first time doing so. But Nicola, in his 6 years, has played alongside Mason Plumlee. He's so skilled. He can play off of and with any other big, and he's going to make them better. To your point, their effectiveness on the offensive glass, We outscored them 60-30 in the paint, to your point. So it's just a confidence builder knowing that you can go to a really big lineup. And JaMychal and Paul Millsap off the bench were terrific. Paul had 5 assists. JaMychal Green had 4 assists. Aaron Gordon had 4 assists. Nikola had 4 assists. We had 30 as a team. So, even with all the injuries that we have, we still have a lot of versatility that we can use within the roster.
Alexander Zikic.
Coach, congratulations on the victory. Now that the regular season is almost over, are you happy with how everything turned out in the beginning? There were some games where the third quarter was a problem. There was some concern, but it turned out that everything worked out great, it seems. And also, is tonight's victory a little bit of a revenge for what happened 3 years ago in Minneapolis when the Timberwolves defeated Nuggets seconds before the end and disqualified Nuggets from getting to playoffs?
Yeah, that was my pregame speech, Alexander, this is a revenge game. Let's go get it. No, the funny thing is about that, I wasn't even aware of this until Charles Clask, one of my assistant coaches, brought it to my attention. We lost to them in game 82. Really was the play-in game before they came up with a formal play-in game. We lost to them in overtime. Since that point in time, I believe we're 11-0 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we've been doing something right against this team. To your earlier question, we started the year off 1-4. Very, very slow start to the year, disappointing start to the year. But even though everybody in Nuggets Nation was probably panicking, asking for me to be fired, asking for players to be traded, we never panicked. I think since January 2nd, we have the second best record in the NBA behind the Utah Jazz. And we were still trying to incorporate so many new players to this team. That doesn't happen overnight. And we got JaMychal Green back healthy in January, which really helped us out. And since that point in time, we've played at a high level, both offensively and defensively. 2 games to go, then into the postseason. Again, just really proud of our guys that we continue to find ways to win games with no Jamal, no Will, no PJ, no Monte, you name it. And you couldn't ask for a better group of guys in the locker room.
All right, Coach, we got time for one more. We're going to end with Vinny Benedetto.
Hey, Michael, you guys give up 37 points in the third, closed with only allowing 14 in the fourth. I guess how encouraging was that to see your guys kind of get back into it, lock in on the defensive end to close that one out?
Yeah, I brought that up after the game in our locker room. Obviously, that third quarter defense was unacceptable. 37 points allowed. I think Anthony Edwards, who, by the way, is a hell of a young player. Wow, really impressive talent. I think he had 18 of that 37. He really got it going. But to respond in that fourth quarter, we were struggling to make shots ourselves, but that's where your defense has to be your anchor. When you're struggling to score, struggling to make shots, you have to rely upon your defense and your defensive rebounding to keep you in the game, and that allowed us to win it. To your point, it was 14 points allowed and only 25% from the field. And I think after 70 games now, I think we're a top 4 fourth quarter defense. Don't look at the third quarter because it's not nearly as effective. But in that fourth quarter, we're able to lock in defensively usually, and that allows you to pull out some close games like tonight.